12 gauge steel uprights, integrated weight stacks, a barbell storage to get the Smith machine out of the way in this all-in-one system for Major Fitness. Could this new upgrade, which is their B52 Pro, be right for you guys in your home gym? Let's see and find out. Hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, so in today's video, we're gonna cover the B52 Pro for Major Fitness. So if any of your Major Fitness products, like this product, is beneficial to you and my content from Major Fitness is beneficial to you, I do have a link in the description. I get a small kickback and it supports a small home gym creator to make more home gym content for you guys out there in the home gym. So Major Fitness has created a lot of buzz since 2021 in the home gym community because they have created plate loaded options for affordable prices, and then they drop weight stacks, and then now they have integrated these Pro Series racks that have integrated weight stacks in their system. So first of all, let's just cover specs and features of the rack, and then we'll drop in some pros and cons and my thoughts as we continue. First of all, this rack still has a height of about 82.5 inches, so anyone out there with basement gyms, you are going to be fine. Honestly, all of Major Fitness's racks stay at that height because they want it to be the sweet spot of all home gyms. I do like that they offer, this is a pro in a sense, I would say, is they offer this height option because a lot of people, I know personally, like my dad's basement gym, you know, he has 84 inches to work with. It's an older house, so it's definitely odd numbers. So having a system like this with that height is nice for those basement dwellers, especially. Now obviously garage gyms, where most garage gyms or barns, etc., are working with different heights, but these are really a good option for the basement gyms out there. But that is the height, and then we'll give you guys the dimensions here, the overall depth, length of the machine, which is a compact all-in-one system here for Major Fitness. What else we have to offer here with their Pro Series is, you can see the front here, they have their spotter arms. So what have they done differently with these spotter arms? Well, compared to the original model with this new upgrade, is they put in these pins here. So really these pins add an extra bout of safety when you're doing your main Olympic lifts on the front of the rack, because what can happen, and it's personally happened to me, especially with J-cups or just spotters that are definitely cheaper, is they tend to, and we can even show you with the J-cup, is when you put your bar here, you might not align your bar correctly, and then it slides this way, and you're scared it's gonna slide out, and then your bar falls out, and then boom, goodbye to your head, goodbye to your shoulder, and say hello to the ER, baby, which obviously we don't want that. But what they have done, guys, is that they've integrated these pins into the J-cups and into the spotter arms for that extra stability and safety when you're using the front of the rack. So let's talk about the uprights here. This is a huge just upgrade, and where they're really trying to make this shine in the home gym community is thicker gauge steel on these front uprights. So this is 12 gauge steel. 12 gauge steel is what we say is like the sweet spot of like light commercial grade equipment in the home gym. It's a lot more durable, it's a lot more robust than 14 gauge steel, which is like pretty much like home gym use. Like anything thinner than 14 gauge steel becomes dangerous and a safety concern. So they have done is had a more robust uprights in the front here so that you're able to do more weight on the front of the rack, so that anyone out there that's always skeptical of doing over 300 pounds or even trying to hit 400 pounds on squat, with 12 gauge steel uprights, that's not gonna be a problem. And what they also have done too is they've added 31 different hole spacings on the front of the rack. Why that matters is because the more hole spacing, the better you're able to line up your squat, line up your bench, because human beings are all different. Crazy thing, right? Pretty wild. So the more hole spacing gives everyone out there better opportunities to line up their squat and bench to exactly how they want it to be, so they have the best range of motion. So what else they've done too on the front here is they have 32 adjustments on their trolley system here so that you have a lot better options for the best range of motion when you're using their cable stack. And then what they've also provided too in the trolley system is some plastic liner. They say mainly it's just used to help with not scratching and dinging up the front uprights, which is honestly one of the main cosmetic concerns that the B52 had. Was it after, you know, using it for 3-4 months, the black was already like chipping off just because of the sliding and gliding of the trolley system. So as we work our way through the rack, the new upgrade they have with their Smith machine is the fact that you're able to store it on this hook at the very top so that you are not, let's say, you know, this is where it was originally, you know, and I'm sitting there doing a squat and I'm jamming out to AC/DC. Hope you guys don't copyright me for saying your name. And I'm going this way, not paying attention, and boom! Boom! Concussion. So getting this up and out of the way, especially, you know, I'm 6 foot, so I still have a couple inches left here. So I would say anyone that's probably 6'3", or probably even taller than that, you're probably gonna hit your head. But someone who's 6 foot, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about getting a concussion because I'm jamming out, not paying attention. So I just think that is honestly a really nice feature because accidents happen, and that's just a nice bonus that they did with this. Now, the Smith machine aspect, you know, how it functions and the different places you guys can rack this on the Smith machine are the same thing. They haven't added any more here, so you still have around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 angles you guys can adjust this throughout it. But again, they're not really trying to make a lot of upgrades to the Smith because they advertise the Smith machine as just a beginner-friendly option. And anyone out there that wants to hit a heavier lift, that's why they had the light commercial 12-gauge steel on the front uprights. So as we work our way towards the back here, we have the weight stacks. The weight stacks go to 170 pounds on both sides. Now, here's the thing. 2-to-1 ratio is what these are. So 2-to-1 ratio is honestly fine for every single lift out there besides pulling movement. So just keep that in mind. And then as we continue going back, the back uprights here are 14-gauge steel, which is just fine because you're not using these. These are just for support. So it makes sense cutting costs in certain ways to keep the price down instead of 12 gauge all around to keep it at 14, which I understand. I get it. Only thing we're doing is putting our plates on the backside, which I do like is they have their weight horns here and they're angled so that you're benching or squatting the front of the rack and you bang it up against the uprights. It's not sliding off. For anyone out there that has not a crappy garage door like me, you don't want those sliding off. I had to literally put clips, just spring power clips on my weight, just the weight horns on the back when I was using my B52 original, and you should not have to do that. So kudos to them for doing that. And what they have also done around the whole entire system here is added aluminum pulleys. Aluminum pulleys have become a very popular thing in the home gym community within the past year because they just say it's a smoother, just nicer experience, less friction. Honestly, a lot of it too is I do a lot more research and learning more about equipment. Mainly it's the bearings they put in the pulleys that give that smooth feel. So honestly, you know, it seems like Major Fitness definitely, the bearings they put in here along with the aluminum pulley too, gives a very smooth experience when you're doing all your different cable movements. All right, so let's talk about the height of the rack and when you're testing and using the pull-up bar or again, you're using the cable system. So starting with the pull-up bar, again, you got your multi-grip pull-up bar here with the rubber handles. So you have different options of doing wide grip, narrow grip for your guys' lifts. So again, as someone who's 6 foot, my elbow is already bowed. So I'm gonna have to tuck in my legs if I'm doing pull-ups or if I'm doing, you know, some sort of core work. Just keep that in mind, guys, when you're getting something with shorter heights of these all-in-one racks here. And then going into the pulley system. So if you're wanting to do lat pull-downs, as someone who's 6 foot, range of motion is an issue getting a full stretch. There are some rack attachments that you're able to do is get as low as you can towards the bottom, as low as you can to the floor, so you're able to get that full range of motion. I've seen people make plyo boxes and they use a seat belt to strap them in when they're doing lat pull downs. So there's ways around it, what I'm trying to say. And something too, when you're using the cable system, the 2-to-1 ratio, a lot of people have, gripes or concerns because, Luke, I'm gonna do a lat pull down, I'm gonna do a seated row, 170 pounds divided by 2 is 85 pounds. Look at that, huh? Math teacher? I thought we were an English teacher. Come on, bro, what are you doing? So, yeah, that's very light. Now, if you do unilateral work, that's a lot of weight, but a lot of people enjoy doing, two-handed rows, or obviously when you're doing, you need 2 hands for lat pull downs. So what can you do to work around that without, obviously Major Fitness doesn't provide that with this system right now, is you can get a weight stack pin. There is so many out there. There's so many options to choose from. Honestly, just check to make sure it has good reviews, and then you use a weight stack pin so you're able to help elevate and get even more weight on your lat pull downs or your seated rows. And then let's talk about the Smith machine. Again, this Smith machine is the exact same Smith machine as the B52. There's nothing different about this, guys. It glides on linear bearings. Again, still has the same amount of height adjustments here. Now, just again, keep in mind when you're getting something like this, they have this thing rated around, I would say around 300 pounds, no more, because as you go heavier in weight, you'll notice that it kind of, it oscillates, I think that's the right terminology, oscillates back and forth as you're going heavier. I don't think it's gonna mean that these things are going to slam and concave in if you're staying under that 300-pound mark. It's just, I think it's just the design and how they have this. It's such a lower cost Smith machine. It's not designed for you to go in here and lift 500 pounds. Honestly, who uses a Smith machine to bench and squat 500 pounds? Anyone who's doing that much weight are power lifters. They're gonna be doing stuff on like a squat stand or a heavy duty squat rack. And that's why, again, if you're someone who is that strong and crunching on a budget, use the light commercial grade front of the rack with the 12 gauge steel, 31 different hole spaces here for doing those kind of lifts, because this is not designed for extremely heavy weightlifters. So let's talk about the testing phase of using this system, this all-in-one compact system, the B52 Pro for Major Fitness. So the front of the rack, obviously you have all of this durability in the front here, the robust 12 gauge steel, the different hole spacing, so that you're doing a squat, you're doing a bench, which your boy is just showing 2 plates. I could try to see if I get a little crazy and do 2 plates of 25 for squat. But which is still plenty for, honestly, almost all home gym goers. But if you're anyone that is looking to elevate with 3 plates, even 4 plates on bench and squat, and you're banging it up against the uprights here,
bruh,
you are having a more robust, durable upright to protect you, which is a win, guys, is a win. And the pinning of the J-cups and the spotter arms, the added protection too, so they're not sliding off, definitely is a nice added feature to that. So something else too, the color, the desert color, it's pretty sweet. And you're able to have those options if you're looking to buy one of these systems from Major Fitness. Let's talk about too is the cable system in the front. I've had this for about 2 months. Honestly, it's freaking smooth, dude. I'm honestly not gonna lie. I personally have not had any issues with friction and any issues with, feels like the movement is not smooth and consistent throughout, which is what you want with the cable system, is constant tension throughout the movement and a smooth, consistent feel. So, and these rotate too. If I were to go and rotate over here, if I were to rotate right here, or even rotate here, smooth. Even doing the other side, rotating all the way to the side, rotating in the front, rotating to the side with the swivel, smooth, extremely smooth, which I love that these rotate, because it depends on where you want to be on the rack, so you're not fixed to one position. So definitely smooth, have not had any issues with that. And the trolley systems for me so far have been extremely smooth. I don't really have a lot of chips and dings and scratches on the desert color here. So it's looking pretty good. And yes, I have used this 3 times a week for 2 months. And I've really tested it as much as I can. And so far, so good. Again, over time, racks, equipment, things, as you use it in your daily workouts, you can see some chips and scratches over time. That's just how things are. But still, the product itself seems like it's gonna stay in pretty good shape. Another notable feature that I really like is the amount of cable travel this system offers. I'm pretty freaking far back, dude. Now it's finally hitting the top of the machine. So really, why does a lot of cable travel matter? It's because if you're taller, you have longer arms, if you're gonna sit and be doing rows, if you don't have enough cable travel, then the weight stack's hitting the top of the machine and your range of motion sucks. So plenty of cable travel for your range of motion for your different pulling movements, push movements on the cable stacks here, which is a nice added feature. Some other notable things too are the assembly process of these machines for Major Fitness are very easy to follow. The packaging is, I've never had issues with packaging with Major Fitness in my personal opinion. You know, I don't know if it's because I make the videos or it's just how it is, but I've always had a good experience with the packaging. I've always had a good experience with the installation assembly process because they use videos on their YouTube channel and they have a manual that's step-by-step instructions and the hardware is labeled because people like me don't know what we're doing. I need stuff like that. Not throwing all the bolts in the bag, giving me just a little tiny little sheet to look at because it gives me so much freaking anxiety. You're spending all this money. Make it easy on the customer. Shout out to Major Fitness for making that happen. All right, we made it to the video where your boy's gonna give my pros and cons of this B52 Pro series from Major Fitness and if it's something I would recommend to people out there in the home gym. So always starting with positives. So positives, number one is I really enjoy the color of the rack and the 32 different hole spaces, the 32 different trolley adjustments, and the 12 gauge steel on the front uprights. I think that is a very nice option so that people who are always concerned about robust durability with 14 gauge steel does not have that issue on the front uprights of the B52 Pro or even the F22. They have the same thing, or even their folding rack has the same option. I really like too is this barbell storage. Guys, I have been a victim of hitting my head against the bar multiple times because I just don't pay attention. I just don't. It just happens. So I do think that's a nice added feature to store it out of the way when you're not using it. And I think too, a nice added feature is just pinning these in because I have been guilty of seeing these, you know, obviously like I showed you guys earlier, they're sliding this way out and I'm scared they're slowly gonna slide out and then my bar's gonna fall and it's nothing I want to see happen. And again, the same option you have down here with your spotter arms. Also what I like too on the backside is the angled weight storage so that it does not slide off when you're doing your main Olympic lifts on the front. You don't want you denting your garage door or wherever you put this. They're putting it through your freaking drywall, dude. So way to go, Major Fitness, for doing that. I think that's a nice added bonus. And as much as the 2-to-1 ratio is a pain in the butt, I personally like weight stacks. You know, I've been spoiled making videos for a long time, but in the commercial gym, before I even started the home gym, the weight stacks are a nice convenience to go in and out of your different lifts for supersets, etc. So that's a nice bonus too, having that in the system with 170 pounds on each side. And then wrapping up some notable features I like, again, is the aluminum pulleys are a very smooth experience throughout the movement. I like that these are able to rotate with you and there's no friction when you're pulling with the cable, which is a nice added feature. A silicone spray is your best friend. Go on Amazon, spray the crap out of this machine. You know, the guide rods here, the pulleys suggest trying to, if you're using it all the time, maybe a couple times a month, but don't overdo it. All right, you're gonna have freaking oil on your hands all the time, but definitely you got maintenance your machine so these cables over time don't wear and tear. So do keep that in mind. Now, let's talk about some things that I think Major Fitness can work on this machine. So the first thing I feel like is, yeah, obviously unilateral work is fine. You're still targeting the muscle and getting mind-muscle connection, but so many people they like variety in their training. So, and I've seen it at their show where they had the storage, like the weight pegs on both sides here so you can slide more weight on. So I don't know if Major Fitness can have like an option like they do, what they've offered the weight stacks for the original B52 Pro. They can add an option so that you can slide a weight horn on each side. You know, there's a hole here on each side. Maybe you could slide it on here and you could put plates on each side. Just an idea, because I know a lot of people that's irking to them. And I feel like too, they're gonna get a lot of flack and comments about, oh, well, I already bought the B52 a year ago, so, you know, I've always wanted to have storage on the top. Why can't we be provided with an option to have the storage on the top? Like providing this little plate here so they can drill it in. Or also people are gonna say, why can't we give the 12 gauge uprights as an option out there? Well, as a customer, I get it. It just all depends on their money and how much they can afford to be able to bring that out. So it's totally up to Major Fitness, but I do get a lot of comments about that. And I get a lot of comments about, I want something that's taller. Again, that's feedback I've seen and I understand from a consumer out there. So it's totally up to Major Fitness and what they can swing and afford, but I understand those concerns. A couple other notable things for Major Fitness too is, first of all, these attachments, not great, they're plastic. These are plastic handles, you got no grip on it. Again, plastic handles, plastic attachments, which I have no idea how much it's cost effective to get, just like even a passive knurl, especially on even just the handles, and then obviously everything else you could keep, or even add some passive knurl on the attachments to try to keep it in the same price point, or you know, whatever they can swing. Because again, these attachments are just, they're not amazing. I'm not going to sit there and lie to you. They're not. They're cheap. They're cheap. And I think one thing too, and I noticed they did this again at their show, is giving some option for barbell storage for your barbell, so you're able to take it on and off your rack without having to go buy other separate storage. And also giving the option of storage for your J-cups and your spot irons. Because when you're not using these, they're just laying on the floor. Anyone out there who has OCD or gonna step on it and stub your freaking toe, you feel me, because as someone who has so much, I also have so much freaking stuff in here, dude. But if this was my main system, I like putting things in storage and out of the way when I'm not using it, especially when you're using the cable crossover cable system in the front. You have to take these off to be able to move the trolley system in the uprights. So that's just obviously an option, something they can think about. Again, it's not really like criticism like this sucks. It's just feedback, you know? It's just feedback. Always, we're here as reviewers. We're here to help companies always improve and give them honest feedback on what things we really like too, because there's a lot of things I really like, and there's things that they can work on, which is, again, the beauty of making these videos. So let's talk about price and my final thoughts. So the price of this is mid-2000s. So you think about an all-in-one system here with the Smith machine, weight stacks, 12 gauge, light commercial grade in the front uprights. The price is really, it's not terrible. It's not too bad. The thing about Major Fitness is they're always gonna find ways to get the price lower, but honestly, it's not an awful price. It's not a bad price. Having the color schemes too, it's pretty sweet. So I don't think it's a bad deal. Honestly, I personally like the rack a lot. I do. I think there's a lot of value to this. There is. There's so much versatility. It's a robust, it's freaking heavy duty. This thing is barely moving. And I don't know. I personally, you know, as much as there's little things to work on, I think it's a good buy, in my personal opinion. You guys let me know in the comments what you think of this for Major Fitness, and let me know if you guys want to see more content, again, with Major Fitness, etc. Again, if this video was helpful to you, I have a link in the description. If you buy the B52 Pro, any Pro Series, any equipment for Major Fitness, I get a small kickback. Send me an email if you need any help. Make a comment, ask me questions. If you want to burn me in the comments, you want to talk about things in the comments. Guys, I'm just doing my best to give you my honest feedback. So let me know in the comments, and we'll go from there. Appreciate you guys checking out this video. I can't wait to bring you guys content soon on Luke's Garage Gym. This is Luke from Luke's Garage Gym. See you guys later.